beekeepers start thinking about treating their bees for Varroa. Varroa is possibly the greatest threat to honeybees, and I did a blog about them, and the link to that blog is in the description below. The treatment is normally done this time of year because some of the treatments that are used are based on a substance called thymol, and this can be passed over into the honey, giving it a taste of thymol, and it smells a bit odd as well. So generally those sort of treatments aren't used until all the honey supers have been taken off. The thymol smell and taste means nothing to the bees. So it's left until the sort of later part of the year, and all of the hives around here have had their supers taken off, so that that should be okay. The other thing about these treatments is that it's a bit Goldilocks in that you mustn't do it when it's too cold and you mustn't do it when it's too hot. Some of the treatments depend on evaporation, so it has to be reasonably warm for that to happen and the fumes to be passed around the hive. So I think the other important thing about Varroa treatments is that the mites can become resistant to a particular treatment, so that if you use the same thing time after time, they become resistant, the treatments become less effective. So you are supposed to mix up what you use and change it on a fairly regular basis. Now this year I'm going to be using 3 different types of treatment, and the first one I'm going to do is for this hive here. This is what's called the WBC hive, and earlier in the year it had quite a heavy mite infestation. It reduced a little bit, but the hive is, the colony rather, is not as strong as some of the others. So I'll just go and get the treatment, set things up, and I'll move the camera so you can see what I'm going to use on this hive is this stuff, known as, sorry you can't see the name there, can you? Max strips, MAQS. Now that stands for Mite Away Quick Strips. Has won awards for the stupidest title of a bee product for a couple of years now, but it is what it is. Now this stuff is particularly unpleasant. It's based on formic acid. The advantage it has is that you can use this any time of the year. It doesn't do anything to the honey. However, being formic acid, it is rather unpleasant stuff. And when it first came out, there was some concern about it. Initially the concern was that it was what's called knocking back the queens, which meant that it was slowing the queens up from laying, and in exceptional circumstances it would actually kill the queen. And I remember when this first came out, the association I belonged to were deciding whether to use it or not, and one of the guys, Mike, he tested it, and he said that the first unpleasant thing about this was that he was trying it when it was made in buckets rather than sort of strips like this is, and when you opened it up you had this huge cloud of formic acid coming into your face, which was very unpleasant and sort of brings up visions of this sort of thing. Because of this, I've always been slightly reluctant to use it, but I'm going to give it a go this year, and obviously we'll see how it goes. Now inside here is enough to do 2 hives, and that's what you get. There's 2 strips inside here, and these lay on top of the hive. Now I haven't got any scissors with me, but no, typical. I'm going to bear with me a second. I'll get some scissors and I'll be back in a minute. Scissors. Let's get rid of the other one. I'll take the crown board off in a moment. I suspect I should be wearing gloves. There they are. Yeah. Okay, right, here we go again. Sorry about that. Now lift this off. Right, so I've opened up the packet and inside there are two strips. And the idea is you just lay them here and here. The gel is inside a sort of a paper, it's a bit damp, sachet type thing, and apparently on the label it says that they are in eco paper, whatever that might be. Anyway, so there we go. I will see if I can put a little eek on top so they can walk over it and do whatever it is they want to do. That'll do, yep. Put the crown ball back on, and that's all there is to it. The only minor thing you need to do, which I've done already, is down at the front here. I'll just see if I can move the camera without dropping it. The entrance here has had this excluder thing in it for a while now. It recommends that when you're putting this stuff on that you take any entrance restrictor away to let the excess fumes get out. Gives you an idea what the stuff is like, doesn't it? So there we are. That's max strips. Give me a second. I'll just. Yep. So we're done there. And it needs to stay on for a little while for it to work. And I think it's 6 weeks. I'll read the instructions properly in a minute. And then I'll come back, take them off, and you get rid of the things. So that's the first thing we're going to do. There's two more types of treatment we're going to do, and we'll come to those in a while. Okay, today I'm in Ravensden, and I'm going to give the autumn even, Varroa treatment to the top bar hive and also to the Warre hive down the end there. Now these two hives are often referred to as natural beehives, as opposed to the other beehives down there, which are presumably unnatural. And the naturalness of these hives is it allows bees to build comb and generally organise themselves in a way more similar to what they would do in the wild. And a sort of follow-on from this is that there is a class of eco-hippie beekeeper who do not use any type of Varroa treatment on their bees. The argument being is it's not natural to treat the bees with chemicals. Now that's fine, that's entirely up to them, they can do what they like with their own bees, but I don't agree with that entirely. I think as a beekeeper the main job I have is to keep the bees healthy, and I'm not sure that I'm prepared to let the bees die simply because of some view about what is natural and what isn't. It also seems a little sort of Jehovah's Witness-ish almost, that they're not prepared to treat their bees, but I wonder if their kids were ill, whether they would say no or just leave them to get on with it and see if they survive. It's only natural. I suspect not. Anyway, We'll do the Varroa hive first, and I'll just move the camera up there so you can see what's going on. I've taken the roof and the quilt off, and I've given them a little bit of smoke just to keep them down while I'm doing this. Although you can't see many bees there were a lot around here when I opened it up. And just looking down into it, looks okay. These bees are slightly more spiky than a lot of the others, so I do wear my veil when I do anything with this lot. There we go. See, look, there they go. Anyway, anyhow, what I'm going to use is this stuff called Apivar. Another wonderful name. And it's based on a chemical called amitraz, which was developed by Boots as an insecticide. And the chemical itself is actually in these strips. Sorry, let's get that in the right way. Yeah, in these strips. They come in pairs. You hopefully tear them off. Yep, comes off quite easily. It has a little hook in there. So what you do is you just push it down into the hive like that, and where should we put it? Where should we put it? Let's put it down there. Does that seem to go down okay? So they really are grumpy. Look, just I'm being nice to you. So just fold it over so it goes flat, and push it down, and that's it. Put back the quilt, and that's it. You leave it on for 6 weeks, take it off, and that's all you need to do. This is the top bar hive. I'm going to do much the same thing, but I thought you could have a look at it anyway. And there's an awful lot of bees along here. Now, the classic theory is that all of these bars are actually jammed tight, which is the excuse that I gave last year for not actually treating them. However, I am going to treat them this year. They're quite strong and healthy, but let's do it anyway. So, they seem to have gone down on their own, but I'll just encourage them a little. Do you mind just for a few minutes? Thank you. A lot of these frames here are properlised shut, so I'm going to use a couple where there is a gap and tear them apart again, fold it so it lays flat. There is a hole there for nail if you want to do that sort of thing, and I will, excuse me girls, try and squeeze it through the frames, which is not going to be easy. That will do. So that's one gone in, and again down the other end to the side of the main brood cluster, which this will do if I can squeeze it through. There we go, that's it. Excellent. So there we are. Today I'm at Spald End, and I'm going to do the Varroa treatment on these two hives. These are the two swarms that I got last year, this year, sorry. One from Wootton, one from Bidden, I think it was. So I've no idea what, if anything, these bees have had in the past for Varroa treatment. So what I'm going to do is use up some of the treatments that I have got left over from last year, which have a sell by, use by date, so I'm going to use those up now. So what I'll do is, this one is going to be treated with a stuff called Apiguard, and that one there is going to be done with the other pair of max strips that I've got, which you've already seen. So I'll set up the camera so you can see what we do with the Apiguard. Right, the treatment I'm going to use here is this stuff called Apiguard. This is possibly the most popular form of treatment, and I used to get this stuff from the association that I belong to. They've decided not to stock it anymore, and the reason for that is that people only use this and nothing else. So to force them to actually use different things, they've decided to stop stocking it, which is a bit of a shame. Anyway, what do we do? Well, it's very straightforward. The crown board comes off. Crack. They look okay. Put this down somewhere. Now, these are just little trays of stuff, and you take the top off, and inside is this white sort of, it looks crystalline but it's actually quite soft. It's based on something called thymol, which a lot of the treatments are based on. And the simple thing you do really is you just leave them, excuse me girls, can you move please? Thank you. Just leave them on top of the brood frames. Just get it all in there, like that, and they'll walk it through the hive. Now, I can't put the crown ball back on top, obviously, because this is raised very slightly. So what we do is we put on a little spacer, which you should both by now know is called an eek. I then put the crown board back on. Like that. And that's it. All I do now is just leave this on for a couple of weeks. I'll come back and take those off, and then put another couple on, leave those for 2 weeks, and that's the treatment done. This is the second part of the Apiguard treatment, and what we need to do is to replace the trays that we put on a week or so ago. And you may remember they look like this. Okay, so we'll just take the feeder off. Take the eek off. And then we'll have a look to see. Let's move the camera a little bit. It's quite thundery today, they seem in fairly good mood. Okay, blimey. Okay, the first one, it's got a little bit in here, it's gone crystalline. Yep. The other one, excuse me guys, thank you. It's all gone. Nothing there at all, which I have to say is quite unusual. Anyway, all done to you. They're getting a little bit aware of me, so I'm just going to put this down very quickly. That's the first one. And the second one, I seem to have dropped somewhere. Anyway, that's what we need to do. Let's have another quick look for it. No, I seem to have lost it. Okay, anyway, I'm going to put a second one on a couple of weeks and then we take it off.